Hello again, and I hope the sneak peek into our goal setting session was somewhat useful for you guys. So today I want to take you guys through how we typically get ready for our homeschooling year. So one, I'll take you through how I usually prepare, and then two, I'll also take you through some of the resources that we're going to be using this year. So I posted our homeschooling goal setting session on our Instagram, and there was quite a bit of interest in the goal setting template. So please just look out for it in the description box. I will put it somewhere, whether it's on our blog, whether it's a download or something. I will try to put it up there for you guys. Okay. So the first thing I do is read and then read some more. As a homeschooling parent, I am also continuously learning. So I usually start my prep around December. Our kids are usually away at their grandmother's place in December, so that usually gives me some quiet time, to just do some thinking and some planning. So what I do is that I usually will read a book or so, or just go on the net and read homeschooling blogs. I mean, I'm quite the researcher, and I have read like a lot of stuff on homeschooling over the past decade or so, but it's always useful to to just always be learning. There's always things that you can do better, and there's just so much information out there on the net that you can use maybe to just improve something or to just learn something new. So that's usually where I start. The other thing that really helps me, I guess, in the planning process is going back to our homeschooling goals. So a number of years ago, I drew up a list of just basically our homeschooling goals, why we homeschool, what we want to see in our homeschooling days and years. And that's really something that has honestly helped me, and it helps me to basically just start off and kick off like, at the beginning of the year. So, for example, if we have as a goal on there, we want the children to have an intimate relationship, with God, for example, right? That then speaks to when I'm doing my planning is, okay, cool, how do we achieve this goal? How much time do we set aside to make this thing happen? What resources do we need to make this happen? What do we need to do on a weekly, on a daily basis to make sure that this happens? And I find that it really has having done that has really helped me to kind of stay aligned to our vision and our goals, because it's so easy to, and especially, I mean, this goes for everything, I think, in life. Even when you set goals in other areas of our lives, is that you set a goal at the beginning of the year, but then maybe like by midway or by at the end of the year, you find yourself having drifted so far from the things that you wanted to do. So I find that the goals that we have, using that helps us to to stay true to our why, and to bring us back when to why we do what we do and what we want to see through our homeschooling year. And this is honestly one of the things that I think that every homeschooling family should try draw up and use, as it's a tool that really helps you to just stay intentional throughout the year. Okay, so next up, I want to share with you guys some of the resources that we're going to be using this year. But before I do that, I actually want to just share two of the challenges that I guess I experience, or typically experience, in this planning process. And maybe challenge is a bit of a strong word. Maybe, let's say, things like that I feel like I have to navigate through. So I love homeschooling, and I think it's a perfect fit for our family, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't come with its own things that you have to work through, things that you have to navigate through. So here are some of those things for me. So the first thing is feeling like I have to wear 101 hats, especially in the planning process. So like, one, I am the principal of this entire learning institution. Two, I'm like the head of every department. Like, I'm the head of science, head of commerce, head of sports, head of life orientation, Alice. And then, of course, you are the teacher, or more like the facilitator of each and every subject, and then after all of that, you are also the parent, right? So as a parent, you have to figure out, what do your children need? What will be in their best interest, and how can you support them to to achieve their goals, and to to pursue the things that they're passionate about and the things that they're good at. And then as a Christian parent, you also have to be cognizant of the fact that you're not just here to teach your children the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, but you also here to to mold them, and not just to thrive just alone in this life, but in the life to come as well. You are here to mold eternal beings. So can you understand how overwhelming the planning process can be, having to just put on all these different heads, and for all these different kids, because all of them are also different. You don't necessarily always do the same thing for each child. So yeah, that's that can be a lot. Second challenge is staying consistent and disciplined, right? So having amazing plans and goals is one thing, right? But sticking to them is another. And I'll be honest with you, I'm like not always the greatest in this department, but having stuff printed out, having things on the walls, and communicating even the plans and things like that with the family, with maybe your spouse and the kids, also does help with this. So thirdly, for us in this season, we're expecting a baby in about a month and a half. So that has the potential to just turn everything upside down. And I mean, it's really hard to plan around a baby, really, because you don't know what your experience will be. You don't know what kind of temperament your baby is gonna have. You don't know if you're gonna be getting some sleep, so it's it can be tricky trying to plan around a baby. But I mean, I'm trying as much as I can to kind of just plan around it, and to just make adjustments in the things that we use and the things that we do, and some of that is changing some of the subjects that we typically use, some of the resources that we usually use for our subjects, to more kind of independent work and more online based resources. But I'll share that with you guys in the next session. Okay, cool. So I think now we can jump into the resources that we're going to be using for the year. So obviously, unlike a typical school setting or typical classroom setting where everyone is the same age, our children are different ages, which means that specifically for language and maths, they are at different levels. So they each, for those subjects, will have different resources, or will have their own books. And then when it comes to other subjects, then we'll try to do as much as possible together as a family, and then obviously they will learn and grasp different things from from whatever it is that we're learning, and even their expectations from that are different. So if we're learning, for example, about birds or whatever, the expectations, or even like the activities that my 4-year-old will do versus some of the material that the 11-year-old will do will be different, but generally we'll learn together when it comes to other subjects. Yeah, okay, so we do English as our first language, and for that, if you know me, you know that I am a diehard fan of The Good and the Beautiful. Yeah, we love the Good and the Beautiful resources, and just everything it's about. It's wholesome, material resources, and I also just love that it incorporates a little bit of everything. So when you're learning, for example, about language, you're not just learning about the ABCs, but like the content that they use. There's a little bit of art, there's geography, there's cultural studies, whilst you are learning language concepts. So anyway, I can go on the whole day about The Good and the Beautiful. So the first 3 are on The Good and the Beautiful, and the great thing is that, for me this year especially, is that the first 2, the eldest 2, are on independent levels, which means that they have instructions on what to do for each lesson, and then they basically just come to me for me to kind of check their work. The 7-year-old is still learning how to read, so that is we still do quite I mean his language is one-on-one. He still needs a lot of help. And then our last one for now, our 4-year-old is turning 5 soon. We'll do an easy introduction into alphabets, so like playing games and just fun, kind of introducing her to alphabets, because she is keen on learning, but nothing serious. We are mainly using for her Khan Academy for kids, and it's really great because it incorporates it's both some letters and numbers and logic and some stories, but everything is just fun. And she loves it. She asks for it every single day, because it's just games. It's in game format, so for her, she's learning while she's playing games. The other thing that the one resource that we do, or that I'll probably try with her, is one called, I think it's called ABC 123, but it's a local resource. I'll share the link to it, and basically it's just like a gentle introduction to alphabets, where, for example, there'll be like they'll play games, and say you're learning A for apple. That day you're eating an apple, and then you draw apple. You draw A like in the sand. Just nothing hectic, but just fun ways to just introduce them slowly to the alphabet. We'll see how that one goes. And then the one thing that we have been doing with her that I really enjoy is also the Practica resource. And Practica is really great because it's a box full of educational toys for children from birth until 7, and basically it comes with a file for the parent with ideas on games and activities to do with the children. And it's pretty easy because everything is laid out according to age, according to even like the different skills that the activities focus on. So like your fine motor, your gross motor, your visual perception, your logic, your maths concepts and things like that. You just open the file to the skill that you're interested in kind of improving, or the activities that you want to do, and everything that you need for those activities is in this big box that you use for all the 7 years. So that's fun. She loves that. She loves playing games. It's got blocks, it's got animals, it's got books, it's got all kinds of things. So that's what we'll be doing with her, as well as just some age appropriate books for her. And then maths. I've confessed my love for the good and the beautiful. I love their maths. I love their approach to maths, their interactive approach to maths. But I think in this season, I don't really see myself having the capacity for just the intensity that it requires. So for this year, we're gonna switch from the good and the beautiful to Khan Academy. So Khan Academy is an app, and then they watch. It's really great. It has its own pros, but the kids, the concepts, the mathematical concepts are presented in little videos that the kids get to watch, and then they complete the exercises and the quizzes and things like that, and then you're also able to track their progress every week. So it's great in that it's something that they'll be able to do independently, and I can just kind of track with them where they are and help them here and there if there's stuff that they don't understand. But yeah, it's mainly independent, which is, I think, something that we'll definitely need in the season. Okay, so that pretty much sums up the literacy part. And then when it comes to other subjects like your science, your geography, your histories, social studies and the likes, we use a variety of resources. I guess in the homeschooling circles, they'll refer to us as eclectic homeschoolers, which means that we don't just use we don't follow one particular curriculum, for all the subjects, but we pick and use different resources according to what we're trying to learn. So we haven't quite decided on pinned down really the subjects and the topics that we'll be covering, but I know like the kids do want to do more science experiments. I know we'll probably do a little bit of African history. I love African history, learning about countries and things like that. I also want us to do some practical life skills this year, like cooking a meal, knowing basic first aid and what to do in an emergency and things like that, just practical life things, but really when it comes to all these subjects, there's really so much to explore. The sky is the limit. Okay, and then there is the children's different interests and the different skills or talents that they want to pursue. So and we'll try to make space for that in our calendar. So for example, our firstborn loves baking, and so we try to make sure that in a week, maybe not in a week, in a week or every 2 weeks, she is pursuing that. She is trying out new recipes. We are buying stuff for her, and we're creating the time for her. The boys have Legos and building and things that have to do with kind of engineering and coding and all of that stuff. So also just making sure that within our plans and within our times and schedule, we make time for that. And then there's outings. We also put that schedule that into our calendar, and sometimes it's just outings just for fun, and sometimes it is educational outings, but we just want to make sure that we go out and explore different jeepers, the world that God has created. There's so much out there to explore, so we just try to incorporate that into our schedules as well. Oh, and then the other thing that we want to do more of this year is playing games, because I think we find that that's a fun thing for us to do, for the whole family to do. So we'll try and incorporate that. And games are really great, because doesn't matter whatever game you are playing, even if it is like a game of cards, it is fun, and it's fun for the entire family. You get to engage the entire family, and two, there's always a skill that they are learning, whatever game it is that they are that they're playing. So wanna incorporate more of that. And then last but not least, what they do every morning is devotionals. So the father does the devotionals with them while I am trying to get myself ready in the mornings. We are currently using the LECTIO for Families app, which is basically like a daily devotional and prayer app that they will do together. You can either read it or you can listen to it, but that's what they begin their day with. Okay guys, that is just about it for today's episode on how we prep for our homeschool year. I can speak about homeschooling for the entire day, so throughout the year, I'm hoping that we'll do more episodes, but also on our Instagram page, we typically share some of the stuff that we get up to, and some of the unit studies and some of the things that we learn and some of the places that we go to. So do follow us on our Instagram page. And then I know there's a lot, and I didn't really touch on everything. So if you still have any questions, please feel free to either ask in the comment section or get a hold of me via Instagram DMs. I will try my best to put the links to everything that I spoke about in the description box, and if there's anything that I kind of maybe forgot to mention or anything, I'll also just put that down there. Just one thing that I didn't mention I mean, I've just shared a whole lot of, I guess, resources, is that we don't do all of the stuff, you know, that I've mentioned every single day. I think just depending on, you know, the year, we're always just trying to chop and change to see what kind of works best, you know, and what we're doing last year is not necessarily what we'll do this year. So it's just overall, you know, kind of what our learning looks like. And also, man, like, our children are still young, so as much as, you know, we want to do school one, we want to do stuff that is fun, I guess, you know, and engaging, and we also want them to be able to have, you know, time to just be kids, to just, you know, play. So we try to have, I guess, you know, yeah, I think, let's say, manage our days well, so that our children don't get overwhelmed with the books and things like that, and just to make sure that even with the stuff that we are using, that it's stuff that's actually, you know, enjoyable, interactive, and stuff. Yeah, so I feel like I'm getting into another topic right now, but let me end it right there. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.